What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to talk about gratitude in the Denver real estate market. Whether you're a home seller, home buyer, homeowner, or a real estate agent, this one's for you. We're going to talk about everything that we have to be grateful for and thankful for in our business, in our lives. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane. Happy Thanksgiving. If you're watching this around Thanksgiving, let's go. That's why we're doing it. I'm in a gratitude mood. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'd be forever grateful. And I hope these help have some perspective on the Denver real estate market and everything that goes into it. I work for eXp Realty. I help people buy and sell houses every day, but more importantly, manage that asset and build wealth through real estate, as that's my ultimate goal. So let's get into this one. First and foremost, we're going to talk about home buyers, a group of people that I work with that some people might say, well, it's been a while since we've had something to be grateful for in our real estate market. And, that's absolutely not the case. We'll talk about you as homeowners back from those stressful times. But if you are looking to purchase a home right now, first and foremost, you have to be grateful that the real estate industry has provided you this opportunity to not only have shelter, but also build wealth while having a shelter. One of our absolute necessity is that shelter, and you can actually build wealth while purchasing a home. So that's pretty cool within our system. So, but as a home buyer in this market, certainly we're grateful that the interest rates aren't way up above 8 at the time of this recording. People are buying into the 6s. And, you say, well, that's pretty high, Jeremy. I'm sitting here with an interest rate, or they got an interest rate of this. That's not what we're talking about. If you remember, when the interest rates were at 6 and whatever, people were like, yeah, interest rates are high, interest rates are high. The minute they hit that 7, people flipped out and were like, oh, this is crazy. It's got to be a record. Then we looked back and realized it wasn't a record. But then they hit 8, right? And people really kind of flipped out. Now they've come down a little bit. People are buying rates down due to our seasonality in the market being a little slower, using sellers' money, typically into the 6s or their own cash, either one. But that's a big deal and something that buyers should be grateful for. And the opportunity right now, because the market is a little bit slower due to the holidays and things. So with that pullback seasonality, buyers are having an opportunity to, get some reprieve from those higher interest rates, quote unquote, higher interest rates compared to some of their friends. And so that's absolutely a huge gratitude that buyers have right now and should have and have shared with me. And there's just options, right? I'm working with a family right now. They were relocating and happened to not get that job transfer that they were expecting. Well, we're getting creative, right? They're going to rent the home from the sellers who also want to exit and make that work. And then we'll buy the home when the time comes, when they have, gainful employment and so on. So something absolutely to be grateful for is the flexibility of the sellers at this point in the market as we move forward. Okay, so let's flip that script around. Let's talk about home sellers. What do home sellers have to be grateful for? Well, Jeremy, the market's not what it used to be. Home sellers are struggling. It's not flying off the shelves. It's, back to kind of the good old days where you had to take 3 weeks or 4 weeks of your life, where you had interruptions and things. Certainly there's some negatives right now, but to be grateful, here's the deal. If you would have called me 3 years ago to sell your $750,000 house, it was probably worth $550,000. So over 3 years, you made $200,000. That's something to be absolutely grateful for. And we may not see those prices escalating as quickly, but you're still gaining from that benefit of owning the home over the last 3 years when your neighbor sold and got $100,000 over. Well, when your neighbor sold and got $100,000 over, that exact same house is yours, then all of a sudden your price just went up $100,000, right? And so on and so forth. And so you're gaining from that benefit. So I don't want to hear it from sellers. You still have a ton of things to be grateful for, as well as a pretty healthy real estate market right now. And so certainly that's something to consider when you start talking about selling your house and how it's not like it used to be and so on, right? And next we have myself as a real estate professional. Obviously, so grateful for everything. As a homeowner, having multiple rental properties, the amazing time of the last 5 years, but more importantly, as a real estate agent, I've gained so much experience in contracts and negotiation and all the things because of how the market was, and advising clients in an extremely competitive market as buyers, as well as advising sellers on strategies to best get the most for their money. And these are things that, that market specifically gave me so much experience because everything was fast moving. And the sheer number of clients that I've been able to help over the last 3-5 years, so on, is giving me the right now, or the ability, not the right per se, the ability to reach out to these people and make sure that I'm solidifying those relationships and make sure that we are doing everything we can to be of value to those now homeowners that purchased a home back then when it was all wild and crazy. Now I have a lot of time to build relationships with those people, and those relationships turn into more business as well as more experience for me. And so that's what I'm forever grateful for within the last market. And I'm not at all sad that the market has slowed down, given me some time to, take some deep breaths, obviously earn some great income. And as home prices have gone up. Typically, real estate agents are paid on percentage, and so that's helped. And granted, there's a lot that goes into, getting top dollar for your house, and we're not going to talk about, agent commissions, as we are aware that they're 100% negotiable. But that's allowed me to sell maybe a few less houses per year, as that income's been able to remain steady. So that's pretty cool. So that's, forever grateful. I love my job. I love what I do. I love being a homeowner as well. And so let's kind of get down to the business here. The final group is the homeowner. And that's my passion. That's my heart. I love helping people become homeowners. I love helping homeowners make decisions in order to, become dream homeowners, or maybe investment property owners, or whatever that looks like. But as a homeowner, right, I just remember the conversations when we went way back in time. Let's go 24 months back in time, and maybe you were looking for a $500,000 house, and it was wild. It was crazy. It was still a decent property, but still the fact of $500,000 for a home was a little bit scary. And then we're going into these homes and having to offer, 6 or 5 figures over asking, and the stress that compelled, and what that means, and what that was like then, right? So stressful. But now 24 months later, we have 2 things to look back on. You can go open that statement, and maybe you have a 2.75 or a 3.5 interest rate. That's just not on the table anymore these days. And, some people, that purchased over the last couple of months, maybe they're high 7s or even an 8. And, that's $1,000 savings on your mortgage payment in those interest rates alone. And so think about that and being grateful for securing that property. Although maybe you had to go over asking, think about what that interest rate alone does for you. Next, let's look at the equity you've gained. Probably in 24 months, you've gained, 10% of equity. Everything's variable, as I can say, but now your home is worth $50,000 more than it was. And if you go back maybe 30 months, you're probably, at 20% of equity, and you're talking, $600,000 in value. So you have $100,000 in equity, all while being able to live in the home and have a shelter over your head, and really start to see what I meant when I said building wealth through real estate. And so as a homeowner, you absolutely got in at the right time when you could. And for all of you that maybe are the buyers or the sellers, or even the agents that are newer that feel a little bit helpless at this time, this message is for you. Gratitude is the number one key to my success. When I step back and I say, okay, yeah, my pipeline's a little bit smaller. I have a few less under contract. I've sold a few less homes this year, but I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I've had over the last 5 years to make more money than I ever imagined I could, and affect more families positively by getting into homeownership, out of renting, or leveling up into a home that was more comfortable for them. When I step back and talk about how grateful that is, then things just start to come, right? It's the law of attraction. It's how you vibrate. It's what frequency you operate at. And that's exactly the point of gratitudes and saying gratitudes, and why I say gratitudes with my kiddos every single morning. And while I'm so excited to celebrate just an amazing Thanksgiving full of gratitude, I'm grateful for each and every single one of you who keep up to date on the market. You don't, delete me, because you know that I bring value as much as I possibly can. And I know that because when I go sit down in your homes to talk about buying or selling, you mentioned some of these videos. So for that, I'm forever grateful. Be forever grateful for you to share this video, like, comment, whatever you do. to show me you're out there is amazing. So I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if tomorrow isn't Thanksgiving when you're watching this video, do me a favor and treat it like Thanksgiving and say some gratitudes with your family, or, you know, to yourself, whatever you got to do. Appreciate you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.